Welcome to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. I am super excited because guess what? It's 2024 and we're doing it big this year. We're doing it big, and I'm super excited because my very first guest of the year, John Lawyer, we're going to have a great conversation. And I don't want to steal John's thunder, so I am going to ask John, why don't you introduce yourself to the Me Timers?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm John Lawyer. I run an online nonprofit spiritual community, and I come from a background of multiple years as a soldier and civilian in combat zones, and that's kind of my story.
All right. Well, I can't wait to get into that story. So one of the first questions I like to ask all guests is to share a mental victory vibe celebration. And that's something that you've done for yourself to pour into your own cup. And I think it's a great question to ask right now, especially as we're coming out of the holiday season. So, John, what have you done for yourself lately?
What I like to do is I like meditation, but I think you can meditate in a bunch of different ways. I like to do a bath time meditation, some candles, maybe a bath pillow, just kind of chill out, and dark room and just kind of take it all in.
I know that's right. That sounds great. That sounds great. So, what would you say your personal empowerment theme song is?
Oh man, I love that question. I like Titanium. That song Titanium, David Guetta and I think Sia.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
you
I
know,
like
it's
Sia. I
yeah,
listen to a lot of her music when I'm working out.
yeah. I think it gets me going.
All right, I love it. So I'm ready to hop right in. So tell us your backstory.
Sure. Grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, and as I got older and started thinking about college, I decided I didn't want to go, so I enlisted in the Army straight out of high school. This is before 9/11, right around 2000, and joined as a counterintelligence special agent. Went to my training, got to my first permanent duty station after all of my training, and 9/11 happened about 6 months after that. So I spent 2.5 years of my 5-year Army enlistment in Kuwait, supporting the Afghan war and then the invasion of Iraq, which occurred from Kuwait. And then I kind of didn't know what I was going to do when I got out, decided that I was going to keep doing what I was doing as a civilian.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I spent the first 12 years of my adult life out of the first 15 years of my adult life on and off in combat zones, Kuwait, 18 months in Baghdad, Iraq, and 6.5 years consecutively in Kandahar, Afghanistan at Kandahar Airfield. And I was doing counterintelligence work, counterterrorism, asymmetric warfare type stuff. And, it was an exciting job. It was a lot of stress, working 110 hours a week, 7 days a
A
week.
week. Wow.
So I didn't really have, like, my life was my work. My life was my job. It was,
Hmm.
I didn't, it was kind of like I was in this pot of boiling water, but you didn't realize it, right? Because it comes up to temp slowly, right? And
Yeah.
so,
I'm sure a lot of
I
people can identify with that though,
yeah,
about the job being their life. I'm sure a lot of people can identify, and some are like, "Wait, what?" But a lot of people can identify.
no, I think so. And I mean, there were some good aspects to it. I learned about being completely dedicated to something,
Okay.
uh, and so I mean that was interesting. But then you learn there's so much to life other than what you're doing,
Yeah.
uh, as your job or whatever. It becomes so it doesn't have to be your identity. So, yeah, it taught me a lot. I think that it was a valuable experience. But there was, there's that part of it that is the military industrial complex. It's a dark, we do things to the enemy, they do things to us. It's this kind of it can be this dark thing. So I kind of that experience for so long, being over there for so long, it did give me the ability, I think, to see the light better, because
Mm.
you contrast it with that darkness. So I think that was a kind of a
Can you
foundational
talk a little bit
experience.
more about that light and what that means for you? Because I do believe that some individuals and some people may define it differently. I can definitely understand what you're getting at, but can you talk a little bit more about that so the me timers can zero in and tap into that a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely. For me, I'm a very universal person. I believe that we can all practice whatever faith or philosophy or belief we have. Even if you're an atheist, we could sit down with each other, and we all have something that we look towards. I
Mhm.
mean, for me, that light is that divine inside. Maybe it's ourself with a capital S. Maybe it's the universe. I like to talk about it in terms of the universe, like the universe inside of us that we're part of. We're all part of the same thing. We're kind of all made of the same stuff,
Mhm.
stardust, or however you want to look at it. And so that's kind of what the light is to me. It's that universal divine self inside of us and
Now,
around us.
is this how it led to the community that you have? I don't want to mispronounce it. Is it Kihar?
It's
Kishar?
Kishar, yeah, yeah.
Kishar? The Kishar spiritual community? Is this how this led to the founding this community?
Yeah, I had, when I came back home after 15 years, it took me about 7 years before I could even really kind of get my feet under me, and then I kind of just had this like moment of like clarity, understanding. People call it different things, and I
Mhm.
knew I wanted to help people help themselves, and I thought, wow, yeah, I could start this community. My wife had been over there with me this whole time as well. We did the same job,
Wow.
and so we founded it together with another friend of ours who was also at war for a long time, and we called it Kishar. It's named after the Sumerian goddess Mother Earth or Gaia. So we thought that was kind of represents our belief in nature and the oneness of everything, and it also represents the line on the horizon, which kind of I think encapsulates that journey that we're all on, whether we
Yeah.
know it or not. You know?
Yeah. It's a journey for sure every day. And the journey is never the same, right? It
Yeah.
has its peaks and valleys, it has its wins, its losses, but it's still a journey nonetheless, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Amen to that. I think that one of the best things I've learned is that if I can learn to enjoy the journey in the moment every day, then whatever I'm doing is going to have some like positive effect on me,
Mhm.
because even if it's something that I don't quote unquote want to do or like to do, if I'm trying to just enjoy the journey along the way, everything becomes easier, I think.
Yeah, I do believe that. I'm really big on savoring good and bad.
Yeah.
I always look for the lesson in it. And I love what you're saying because it reminds us that being present in the moment and enjoying the journey is really, really valuable. And I think, especially coming out of holiday, New Year, everyone is on fast pace right now. Whether it is kids going back to school, going back to work, coming off from vacation, everyone. And right now, it's an opportunity to just take the time back and take a step back and enjoy the journey, even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if it's just for 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a 2 hour, you know?
Hmm.
It can be
Yeah.
for a short segment of time. So I'm really feeling what you're saying because it makes sense.
Yeah. We have more time than we think, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's about how we want to prioritize that
Yes.
time,
That's right.
So tell us about the community.
Yeah, we have it's a place where people can come and talk about their own spiritual path. We celebrate that everyone has their own unique path. I think we're
Love
all
that.
different, but that we can all just talk about it together, and we can all be teachers, we can all be students, and figure out, maybe we ask better questions, find better answers. And we have guided meditations and daily affirmations, journaling prompts, and it's just a place that, we believe that in this modern digital age, we can still have meaningful, authentic human connection in a community, and that
Is
it's
the community face to face? They're getting together face to face, or is it
it's
virtual?
it's online. So there's a place where we can all gather. It's it would be uh, kind of like a social media, but it's kind of walled off from the world. So you don't have to worry about trolls and noise and all this other stuff.
Oh,
It's like it's its own space.
yeah.
And then we have Zoom events where we talk, just like you and I are talking right now, about spirituality or life, and we're really interested in spirituality, yes, but how it intersects with the real world that we all live in every day. We're not Most of
Yeah.
us aren't going to live in a monastery, right? So
Oh my goodness. I mean, the real world is there. Everything's happen every day. And um it's equally important too, because even when it's not so great, I still find a way to chuckle and have a laugh about it, you know? And it changes the viewpoint of the entire situation. I used to get upset when people would cut me off in traffic. Now I look over and I'm cracking up, dying laughing, and they looking at me like, this woman is nuts. But I'm
Hmm.
laughing because I'm like,
Yeah.
they really need to get there. And I'm not in a rush like that.
No, I love that perspective because like even before I was on a spiritual path or knew I was on a spiritual path and I was in Afghanistan, our unit, we did all these things. It was dangerous. It was dark, but we still had fun. And I still tried to be a positive person. I was kind of the cruise director because I was there for so long and knew everybody. And so, I tried to make sure that our guys had fun at times when we weren't, in the middle of something. And I think that there's like you said, there's always time. There's always a choice. And I think that if you can laugh, if you can find a positive moment, even when you're in the middle of the swamp or in the middle of the desert, then that's a good thing.
So is your community, does it have a lot of veterans, or is this veterans and civilians?
It's mostly civilians. There's some people that are involved that are former veterans, but it's for anybody because I'm very much that no trauma is better or worse than other trauma, and so it's kind of
Mhm.
come one come all, regardless of your background. And yeah, it's just like I said, it's a safe place. It's a place where people can talk to each other. It's a place where people can ask questions and get answers. We have one-on-one spiritual guidance and coaching as well. I'm a certified professional coach. I went and got my certification, just to kind of bring things more legitimacy and bona fides because you want to do the right thing for people. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a place for people to share.
That sounds amazing. I really like hearing about this because I think the creation of community is very important, especially in a digital age where we have individuals that, they're at home. They're at home. And it's a great place to interact with others. Sometimes, it's okay to talk to the dog and the cat. I mean, I talk to my dog all the time. We had a whole conversation about why she's not in here while I'm recording a podcast because I was telling her, hey, no one wants to hear you snoring. No one wants to hear
That's
that.
right.
Okay. But it's also nice to connect with other human beings.
Yes. And I think that it's easier. I think for me, and I think for a lot of other people, there's this idea that we have to go through life and be a little bit, we have to be alone, or it has a lonely journey, or the spiritual path is, but it doesn't have to be that way. I mean,
Mhm.
necessarily it's going to be that way sometimes, but for the most part, why not go talk to people? Why not see what's working for someone else? And if you're looking to do something and change your life or reach a goal, it's often easier to do that if you're around people who are sharing that same experience.
Sorry, my son peeped in. I was like, I'm
It's okay.
reporting a podcast. He was like, I got to drop something off. I said, I'm going to be recording a podcast. He was like, I won't bother you. Then he peeps in. Like, it reminds me of when he was like, and when he wanted to go outside and he was in grade school and he opened the door like, are you up? And what kind of mood you in?
Yes. Yeah, I've done that.
So I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. That I love that. Uh, no, just that you know, it's easier to go along your journey when you have support often.
Oh
So I
yeah.
think that let's band together and you do your thing, I'll do my thing. But why don't we do it together? And we don't have to exactly agree on what our beliefs are or how we practice or what our philosophy is, but we can still
I love
talk
that
about
you
it.
said that because the first part, the one of the key things that you said is we don't have to agree on what our beliefs are, you know. And I think I want to talk a little bit about that because there are some that feel joining a community is about like-minded individuals that like the same things, have the same beliefs. A community can be like-minded individuals because it's a community. You've decided, hey, I want to be a part of community, right? But
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to have the same beliefs to be part of this community.
No,
And I
it's just
love that you said that.
yeah, just bring an open mind, bring mutual respect for your fellow human beings, and you're good to go. You know, and
When you're
then we
thinking
can just
about
talk.
mutual respect for other human beings, we in this day and age. Okay. All right. Your coach, I'm going to put you on the line here. Put you on the
Okay, I
line,
love it.
coach. When we talk about that, can you just dive into that a little bit more? Now, I asked this question specifically, not just for grown adults who've been sitting on the ground for a long time. We may have some young people, 18, 19, 20 years old, or even I get a teen or two, which I'm shocked about. I always ask the question, do your mom and dad know you listen? But let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we can move forward and consider.
Ah,
You know, the word is always consider because then you do, right? So,
yeah,
how do we consider?
I love that question. I love the idea because I think that if I go talk, say I'm one political affiliation, and I go talk to my neighbor and he's another, and we don't agree. I mean, I'm not in politics these days, but let's just hypothetically, we probably have 90% of the stuff we agree with. We want our community to be safe and our
Mhm,
children to be healthy and all this stuff, right?
mhm.
And so we're agree on 90%, but we're going to worry and stress and get all upset about this 10% when we have all this stuff in common. So if we all just drop the our identity, if we stop making our identity our politics or our all this stuff that we've been told we have to believe or have to like be passionate about, I'm okay with all that stuff. Like, you can have the passion, but if we come together and we can have conversations, because we're humans. I'm human, you're human, and we get invested in all of these tribes around us that we've been told that we have to be part of. We're going to be part of this tribe, we're going to be part of that tribe, and we get invested in that. And instead of being invested in that tribe of human connection and loving kindness and all these things that we're all taught, regardless of what religion we were brought up in or what philosophy we were brought up in. We were taught respect. We were taught to love other people and to be kind. And so
Mhm.
I think it's about coming together and saying, what connects us? Asking that question, what makes us the same?
What makes us the same? I like that. What connects us? Because a lot of times we forget that because we get caught up in the minutia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm, mhm. What makes us the same? Consider what makes us the same. And I love that you also mentioned identity. Drop that identity. Just come as a human being. Come with a curious mind.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. If you're always learning, we talk about worldview and all that. If you're always learning, if you come with that, if you come with that open mind, then you're able to connect with people on a real meaningful level, even if they're different from you.
Now, I have to ask, is that something that evolved for you in the military? I know you said it started there. And how did this just really evolve for you?
I've always had positivity and kindness as kind of guiding values for me.
Mhm.
Um, even when I was depressed and PTSD and anxiety and
Yeah.
all the stuff that came with all the trauma from
Yeah.
being in combat, I still maintained a positive attitude. I was still kind to people, and so I had we being in Afghanistan for 6 consecutive years, we would have people come in every 6 months, new people, right? And so these kids would come in and they would say, "Well, hey, what do you look for in a new agent? You know, in a new guy?" And I was like, "That's a great question." Uh, and I thought about it for a minute. I told him, I said, kindness. I said,
Ooh,
if you come in and you're kind, then we can work together. I could teach you anything, and you can go out and do your job and do it well. And I was surprised at that answer, but that was my answer, even in the middle of Kandahar Airfield, Afghanistan.
kindness. And what was the response after you said that?
He thought about it for a minute and he appreciated it. He was a young lieutenant, uh, go getter, but I think he understood what I was talking about.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
was a
it's
kind
okay to be
person.
driven. It's okay to be driven. You know,
Yeah,
it's I have
it
a
absolutely
girlfriend, she
is.
says this, "It's okay to be a goal seeker.
Yeah.
It's
And
okay."
I think that's part of what I learned in my times in the desert is it. And also and also if you're living your purpose, I'm big on living your
Mhm.
purpose and your higher purpose, your dharma, right? Um, then then go be that driven person, be the Michael Jordan or the whoever, go be that zealot for whatever it is that you want to do in your life. Because then you're
Johnny, if you
living
take
your
us back to Michael Jordan, you might have to school some of these youngsters. They think Michael Jordan is just about shoes, but we're gonna have to take them back so they can really
right.
understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm dating myself.
Look, I got excited when you said it because I started thinking about the games back then, sitting down and
You
I,
right?
so
I
I'm
was
right there
magic.
with you.
It was magical. So, but yeah, if you're living your purpose, then that's an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
if you're driven, are you driven in the right direction? Are you driven in the direction that you want to be driven in?
Yeah. And I think sometimes it takes a minute to figure that out. It takes a minute to figure that out. Some are blessed. They know at 6, 7 years old, I'm
Sure.
going to do this. They stay on that course and they achieve that goal. And for some, it takes a little bit longer. I was one of the in the some that took a little bit longer. And identifying that purpose, I had to really think about what I needed to do for me, what I needed to do to evolve myself. And by that, I mean not looking at the glass half full for me. It was all about a capital S self. It had nothing to do with anyone else. And, you know, going through all of that and appreciating what I thought was embarrassing, appreciating
Oh,
what I thought, I can't say anything about that. They'll think bad of me, you know, and
yeah.
appreciating, hey, that's part of Renee. And I call her Neighboo. I was like, that's Neighboo. I can't let her go. That's part of Neighboo, you know. So I love that you say that. I do. I do. It's very
I
genuine.
and I love that you talk about doing it for yourself and like loving yourself because that's life. Like
Mhm.
we're taught to be heroes for everyone else, to take care of everyone else, but no one ever tells us to take care of ourselves. No one ever tells us to love ourselves. They tell us that kind of abstractly sometimes, but we're not. It's not a focus in our society. So love yourself. Celebrate yourself.
So if someone like I have a question because as I was looking through your bio, I saw this stream of unconsciousness. I got a little excited. I was like, let's talk about that. I want to know what that means. So can we talk about that? Because I think this is an appropriate time to bring it up as we talk about self.
It is. Because I call that pull of society that all this stuff we're told we have to do or need to do or can't do or shouldn't do by society, by our teachers, sometimes our parents,
Mhm.
friends, coworkers, all this stuff we're told. And then so who are we? And so I call the stream of unconsciousness that pull of society that's just floating us down the stream and we're unaware, we're unintentional, and we're just kind of like walking through life like a zombie kind of. And so this,
Mhm.
if we just stand up, we realize that stream of unconsciousness is actually pretty shallow. We can just stand up, walk out of it, and suddenly we're looking around. Well, what do I believe? What are my values? What do
Mm.
I want? What do I need? Who am I? And and then suddenly we're seeing the world in this vibrant, universal color uh, that is not anything that we were told that we had, should, or shouldn't do.
I love that. So I like the generational, or it can even be generational. It can even be with our own self. I always like to talk about limiting beliefs because I
Yeah.
think the definition of limiting beliefs is not just geared toward what someone else taught you. It's the things that we teach ourselves too. I have to do it this way
Oh yeah.
because I have to go this direction because this is what I have to do. And it's not to say that it's unhealthy. It can be, of course, but that open mind to just take another look, try it a different way. And I say that all to say, because I'm not going to say it and haven't gone through it. This is me all the way. Okay. I had to schedule a great example. I used to have to work out on these days from this time. First, I got to get up and walk. I got to be walking by 6:46 because 6:47, it puts me behind schedule. Okay. I have to work out for these 3 sets and I have to be done in 17 minutes. John, I'm not kidding you. This was me. Okay. And one day I was like, it just hit me. I was like, why do I have a schedule like that? What is that doing for me? It made me so stressed because if I was behind schedule, it like threw off my whole day. And it was a process going through my mind and really trying to figure out why I did that. And then I forced myself to do it at a different time. And it was a matter of my mind knowing that when I did it at this different time and it didn't disrupt anything, it was like my mind was like, oh, it's okay. So I really understand that analogy that you're talking about with the stream of unconsciousness.
Yeah. What works for you, like, cause like what, and like part of it is do whatever works. Like
Yeah.
what will we do? What works for us and finding that, and then what do we like doing? I really appreciate having that joy in life,
Oh,
like if
yeah.
you're doing something and don't like it, do it a different way so you do like it.
Yes, I do too. There was a time when I do it even if I didn't like it. Now I'm like, I don't like that. I'm not doing that no more. That's not what I don't like.
Yeah.
That don't bring me any joy.
Right.
If I have to go through the whole day and I don't laugh one time, there is a problem. And not just, and I ask myself and my circle, you didn't crack a joke today. You haven't done this. I start to look at what's going on. Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? So I
Yeah.
understand.
And when it comes to like exercise, like my story, like I had to run in the army. I was a good runner, but I didn't like it. And
Oh.
and I did all this stuff to exercise in my life and I never liked any of it. And then I found a rowing machine. I got a hydro and started rowing in my house. And I love rowing. I enjoy it,
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
found it. I found something that I enjoy doing.
You had to find what you enjoy. I like that. I like the premise of, me timers, when you're listening to this today, it's a great message here because finding what you enjoy, curiosity, an open mind. And it's a great reminder as we go into this new year because sky's the limit, you know, especially with belief and
Hey, you
faith.
believe you can do you have Ted Lasso, right? Just believe you can do
Yeah.
anything.
Belief and faith is
Yeah.
possible.
It'll take you
So,
anywhere.
yes, 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 yes. So, how do we navigate that spiritual path in this modern age? The modern, and it's getting, it's a modern age, but it's even moderner. Like, I, that might not be in the dictionary.
It's fine.
As
I'm
we got
at words
all
all the
these
time.
different things coming in, right?
Yeah. I think that's it. There's all this noise in the world. There's our cell phone, there's our televisions, there's all this noise that we have to filter. And the thing is, if we're not aware of it, if we're not intentional about it, it'll just carry us away. We won't be able to hear anything. We'll be able to see anything, we'll be able to feel anything. So it's about reducing that noise, slow things down. Like we talked about, we have more time than we think. We have choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about starting small steps. Sometimes starting is the hardest part. And
Yes.
so figure out, and it goes into having gratitude for what we have, for
Yes.
being able to let go of all this baggage that we have. And how do we let go of the past? How do we stop worrying about the future? How do we live today? I think that's how we start to live in this modern world, and we can realize that I have a choice about how I use my cell phone, how much television I want to watch. If I want to read a book, I can go do that. If I'm having issues doing this on my own, there's people that can help me. There's places I can put myself. What job do I enjoy my job? Am I living my purpose at my work? And when that's aligned, you're suddenly happier, right? So it's all this stuff about stopping for a minute, thinking about who you are and what you want, and then taking steps to kind of more intentionally walk that path in a more kind of aware manner.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question because I get questions. I get a lot of different comments from gentlemen all the time, especially about a lot of the MTO products that I put out. I get called out. This is for ladies. Where's the one for the gentlemen? So I have to ask a question to redeem myself with the men here, uh, especially with the stress that they take on, the ideology of how society has defined the masculine and feminine role. What would you recommend for a gentleman that's like, I'm a provider, but I'm stressed. I don't know which way to go. I but I got to keep going because I got to be strong. How can they tap into that for themselves? Because you've talked about putting down your phone, doing these different things, just start. But for some, they may like it's just not that easy for me to start. And this question is specifically for the gentlemen. So ladies, take a back seat and make sure you share this information with your loved one.
I love that question. I think that, I was a soldier in the military. I've been married for 20 years, but I think that these two women that I created this spiritual community with, and myself, we all decided to name this community after Mother Earth and the divine feminine. And I think I'm in touch with that. And I think that helps me. I
Mm,
think that because it goes back to what we were talking about. You got to love, if you're a man, you think I got to take care of my family, I got to take care of my wife, take care of my kids. That can be true, but you can't do that as well as you could do it if you don't take care of yourself first. If you don't love yourself first. And that's so powerful. I mean, we talk about self-love, we talk
mhm,
about self-care, but you got to stop and think about it. You know, like it's that cliche of putting your oxygen mask on the plane before you put it on the person next to you.
mm,
You got to live, you got to survive first. And then how much happier will your wife be? How much happier will your girlfriend or your kids be if you're happy first? If you're taking care of first? Suddenly, if you take care of yourself first, suddenly everyone around you's happier. You're lifting up yourself, but and then you're lifting up the whole world around you. And so I think part of it is being in touch with that softer side of yourself and saying this is okay. I don't have
mhm.
to, it doesn't always have to be me every single moment of every single day. Like for someone else, it can be you for you.
Mm. I love that you said that. And it's a message. I mean, one of my goals this year is to make sure that I think about the gentleman. I they do call me out quite often. I've been at events and they're like, where are our affirmation cards at? Like, ooh, what am I? So I make it my business to have. But I also want to talk more about that on the podcast and bring positive stories for gentlemen because you mentioned self love. Self love is not just about women,
Right.
you know. And I'm so glad that you said that, and I hope that the message is received because we need to take care of ourselves, whether we are male, female, or or they, them.
Right.
We need to take care of ourselves. And we have to take a step back to do that. Even if it's small increments of time. That's like my thing, putting ourselves first for at least 15 minutes a day. And I'm loving that we're stressing about it today.
Yeah. Small. I mean, and that's small change every day is big change. And that's mostly how people don't achieve these big things without just doing small steps every day.
Mm.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So, what advice would you give your younger self to help cultivate self trust?
Oh, it's a great question, right?
Yeah, it is because you went right out of high school into the military. So, you got a lot of advice stored up in there. I can't wait to hear.
I would say I would tell myself to just find my intuition, not that racing mind of our mind or ego and that stuff that's kind of the junk that we get told by our mind all the time. It's just
Mhm.
extra stuff. I'd say trust that core intuition deep inside yourself when it's telling you to do something or not to do something or whatever, do that. Follow your heart, follow your intuition, follow that core voice inside that's beyond all this stuff that's in our head that gets filled in our head. Just follow that core intuition.
Sometimes my head, like, when I have a lot of things and I'm having racist thoughts because I got so many things on my desire list to do, and it's like, oh, you're not gonna do this, oh, this. I have to stop and say, stop it, leave me alone, so I can clearly decide what's next.
Yeah, same. Because that's I think that's part of that's my core thing that I talk about all the time, is slowing that down and quieting those racing thoughts and all that kind of junk that builds up in our mind. We got to think about our ego is very good at what it does. It's been keeping us alive for thousands of years. It's effective at that. But we're safe. We're relatively safe now. We're relatively secure as you know, and so it has an important job to keep us alive still. But we kind of have to keep it quiet now. We have to learn how to like kind of set it aside and hear ourselves behind all that noise.
I love it. This has been such a pleasure. I am so excited, actually, that this is going to be the first podcast that I air in 2024. Because, it's wins. It's about wins. Even when it's a loss, it's a win.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I truly enjoyed the conversation and what you're saying and the message for the gentleman. Hopefully you've redeemed me some. I'm going to work really hard this year to make sure that I have more male guests on the podcast. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the Mind Escape Vibe podcast today and just igniting the flames of everyone. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. I feel privileged to be your first guest of the new year. And I think the message you're putting out in the world is great. We need more of it. So I thank you as well.
Yes, we do. We need more of it because you know what? We conquerors. We got it.
We got it.
It's in there. It's in us. Let's ignite the flame, John. Let's ignite the flame.
Let's do it.
All right, me timers, you heard it here first. Check us out. Check out John. Where can me timers check you guys out? Check out your community. I almost ended
that's
the show
all right.
without asking.
That's cool. Our main website is kishar.org, KISHAR.org. And that they can find all of our community stuff there, our individual spiritual guidance stuff, and our socials. And we have a pretty cool YouTube channel too. So.
All right, y'all heard that. YouTube. I am enrolled in YouTube University, so I'll be checking out. Yes, where the tuition is reasonable.
Yeah, I got to check that out. I'm always trying to crack that code. So.
All right, me timers, you heard it here first on Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. Welcome 2024, where we are igniting your flame. Have a great day now.